So anyway, one of the most popular knives that I've designed is this little neck knife. And this is 2 3/4 of an ounce. And again, made out of 1095 Cro-Van. It's full height ground. And it is an extraordinarily useful little knife. This particular one has skinned several deer and is probably split out to small kindlings for well over 200 fires. And the reason that I've split out that many kindlings for small fires is that my ex-wife really, really liked to have a fire in the morning. And a friend of mine, Jim Noka, said to me one time, he said, the best place to practice building a one-match fire is in your fireplace. And I thought immediately, I thought to myself, people who live in northern Michigan obviously don't have enough to do. But then I got to thinking about it, and what an easy way to build dirt time. Right. So pretty soon it becomes as automatic as bunching up some newspaper and throwing it in the fireplace. And I've taken this, obviously not this blade, and driven it into end grain white oak to where it just won't pop out, and gotten over 45 degrees of flex before failure. And if you haven't figured out that the knife is about to break if you get over 40 degrees, well, shame on you. I'll still replace it.
You're about to learn something.
Right, yes. we'll still replace it, but pay attention. Yeah. So this actually is the basis for what I always have this, if it's legal for me to have it, this is in my left front cargo pocket. If I leave the room, if I leave my bedroom and I have shoes on, this is in my left front pocket. And this is a trick I learned from Dave McIntyre, who won the Alone show second year, I think. Mm-hmm. He and I spent some time, a weekend together, and he had this on his neck knife. And all this is a piece of inner tube, bicycle inner tube, but there's a button light, compass, fire stick, a little tinder, and a diamond sharpener. And
all snuck into the sheath, and superb.
And the problem with most of these systems is that they start to get like this, right, and they're no longer neck knives. It's the same thing with pouches on sheaths. A small pouch, I think, is an okay thing. Enough to put a Bic and a couple of maybe a little cordage and a sharpener in, as a sheath for the BK-14, which is we'll get to next. This is not big enough to really get in the way, but there's enough, you can put enough stuff in there, right, to help sustain life. Here is, this knife has an interesting history. I'm pretty good friends with the guys that run ESSEE Knives, and we're kind of rivals in a sense, but on the other hand, we have too much fun together to really take it too seriously. So there was a young fellow from Denmark who was very active on my forum and on the ESSEE forum, and he really loved my Necker blade, and he really liked the Izula handle from ESSEE. So he was taking a welding course at the time, and he took it to class and chopped it in half and welded it back together and made it pretty and put it up on the forums, and people went crazy. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I called Jeff and I said, what do you think we ought to do? And he said, I think we ought to make a piss pot full of them. So we did. And they've been very popular, and they have most of the same advantages as the Necker. I prefer my handle a little bit more, but that's because it fits my hand better than
And you've got your wire breaker on that one too, right?
well, I've got a twisty wire breaker, and a little gadget here that will help you to open an adult beverage at the end of a hard day.
Right.
So, but this is a great little blade for 2.75 of an ounce. I mean, I have used this to baton down 4.5-inch trees. Now,
It took a while.
not long.
Really?
Not long. Now, I wasn't going into standing dead oak, okay? That would have taken a while. But in the part of the world I've been living, tulip poplars, if you harvest a tulip poplar, you come back the next day, there'll be 3 of them where that one was. So it's an ever renewable resource, and a perfect thing to make shelters and stuff out of, because it's you'll end up with another one next week. And then we get to this little guy, and this I'm not exactly sure why I designed this, except I've always been fascinated with miniature stuff. And this is actually a pretty useful little blade. It's one of the world's best pocket steak knives.
What's the designation? BK-1?
This is a BK-13.
BK-13.
And it's just a nice little extra thing to have if you've lost everything else. This one, they don't cost much, and they're an excellent little blade. Again, 1095 Cro-Van. This is one of the few blades that I've ever designed that ended up being hollow ground.
Interesting. What sort of coating is it on that too?
It's a resin coating, powder coat.
Right, but smooth.
But smooth,
Right.
yeah.
Right.